Why did I come here? What am I doing here? Let's discuss that right now. Why did I go to university? It's a weird one. It is really weird. This whole year has been really weird, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree with that. Normally, you know, I'm 21 now, almost 22. Normally people don't go to university at that time. You know, the norm is to go straight after college. You go through the process, 18, go to university, come out, get a job, that kind of thing. But as we all know this day and age, our generation is very much different in terms of the way we traditionally do things. You know, go to school, go to college, university, get a job, get a house. Like, that has completely been changed by our generation and how we operate in the digital age. It's made even worse now by COVID. COVID has messed up a lot of things for a lot of people. It messed up a lot of things for me, but personally I still think that my stuff is not anywhere near as bad as what a lot of other people went through. So I will explain what happened, but I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because there's people who had it completely worse. And I also feel really bad for the 18-year-olds of this year who were finishing college and had their results completely messed up. But I'm hoping that anyone who's watching this who got their results, got what they wanted in the end, and hopefully going on to university or going on to doing their jobs, and I'm hoping that you're striving for what exactly you want. So let's go back to college, which is almost 5-6 years ago now, and when I was deciding what I actually wanted to do at college, because I came from a background of PE. I was pretty decent at PE and GCSE, but as a lot of people probably know, GCSE to A-level PE is highly different, and I was going to do an IT course because my brother was in IT, and you know, it's beneficial to have that as we're growing in this digital age. It's beneficial to have a course like I did, to give you just like the basic of everything. And then I was going to do a science, and turned out the science wasn't available for me at the time. So I was like, well, what do I want to do? Like, what else is there for me to choose? So I went back through the what are they called? Back through the brochure. Is that right? Back through the book with all the different courses on it. I completely forgot, I worked in a university. Anyway, I looked back through the options that I had, and the advisors were like, "I'll take business, like best course to do," and I was like, I'm okay, thank you. And so I was flicking through and I came across photography, and I always was interested in photography as a young kid, taking photos of me and my mates BMXing, skating. They were terrible, but like I always had the ambition to get like cool photos of everyone, and I always loved the feeling when you captured like an awesome image of someone doing a trick, and then they're like, oh my god, like I really want to use that on, at the time probably Facebook or even MSN. And so I decided to take photography, and personally, this is my opinion, you know, anyone's entitled to their own opinion, but the photography course at A-level was terrible. I'll give it some credits. You know, it taught me how to speak about my work and experiment with different ideas, but in terms of teaching you photography through DSLRs, through Lightroom, through business, it was pretty bad, but it still gave me the starting point to like actually experiment and try and do lots of photography and try and push my boundaries. So yeah, there we are. I go through sixth form. I do photography, do IT, do PE. I quit PE in the second year because I hated it and fell out with one of the tutors, so I decided to get rid of that because I didn't need the stress and I wasn't enjoying it. And then I carried on with IT and photography, and they became my like obviously top subjects, and my favourite subjects. Photography in particular, because I was becoming, you know, quite good at it, and I was enjoying it, and there's a lot of people liking my work. So then I come out of college with my photography and IT A-level, and I decide, what am I going to do now? So So during the whole time of college, they're usually like, go to university, this is going to be beneficial for you. And I was actually going to come to University of Gloucestershire. That was my original choice, and I was looking at graphic design, but it just didn't feel right. Something just wasn't in my head thinking I want to do this, because at 18, more than likely I would have just gone there, pissed away a degree and not actually gone for something that I wanted to do in my future career. I was in college, I was thinking, like most other people, like you might be right now, or next year, what the hell do I want to do? Go to uni, some people might do, but for me it was a no. It just wasn't fitting with me at the time. Get an apprenticeship, that was my first idea, and I was thinking, what do I do it in? IT, not really, because the ones that were in my local area just wasn't for me. Too plain and not creative enough for me. Photography, scrap that, because where I'm from you can't even really get an IT apprenticeship, let alone a photography one, or graphic design. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Many people told me I couldn't do photography, which made me laugh, because have they ever done it? That is the question. When anyone ever tells you, oh, you can't do YouTube, or you can't do social media, or you can't do a job in this, you can't do a job in that, just ask them, have they done it? Because guaranteed they haven't. So them saying, oh, there's no money in it, them saying there's no career in it, it's unsafe, you should get a safe job or a practical job, just ask them, have they done it? And more than likely they haven't. So why should they tell you that you can't do it? This is one of the biggest fueling factors for why I pursued photography as a career, because I wanted to prove to people that you can do it, and that you're not going to tell me what I can do. I am my own person. I'm going to do what I want to do. My parents were really good at this as well. They were very good at this. As most my dad's Lee Taylor Karate. He could have just told me take over the karate business or go into martial arts, because that was his dream. But he always told me that was his dream. It's not my dream. Do your dream. So my dream is to become a photographer, or become a content creator, or basically it broadened out more into being a creative. Over the last few years it's become more, what is Taylography? Well, it's a creative brand, whether that's going to be in filmmaking, photography, animation, VR, 360, clothing, music, I don't know. It's basically my fuel of being a creative person. That is Taylography. Both my parents were an inspiration to do and pursue exactly what I want out of my life. As everyone knows, my father teaches martial arts full time and has done for over 10 years. He left a job that he hated, and even though he had commitments like a house, cars, children to look after, he was pursuing exactly what he wanted to do. And my mum, she was in exactly the same situation, did not like her job, and decided to go back to college at the age of 40 and pursue animal care, which is what she's always been into. So they were big inspirations for me to be like, right, I don't have to do the norm, I don't have to follow the rules and be like everyone else. I can do what I want to do as long as I put my mind to it and put some effort and grind into exactly what I want to do. So I got my first job as an in-house photographer at the local company who made hospital products and luxury luggage. I'm going to put some photos in as well when I talk about this. And I loved it there. It gave me a place to experiment, learn and grow. I learned how to use DSLRs there. I got my first DSLR, which is the one I'm using right now. I went on shoots quite often, going to different hotels and creating little scenes, and I had this own little mini studio that I was creating small little stop motion stuff for social media and doing product shots and lifestyle shots. And then I also did a shoot in Birmingham with these 4 professional models and a Morgan car, and I was 18 at the time. Was I 18? Yeah, I was 18 at the time. And I was like, well, what is going on here? I'm proving to people that I can do this. But I wanted more. So it was time to move on. I wanted to learn more, experience more, and as much as I loved my time at that first company, I just wanted to keep growing, keep learning. So I then moved to a small university and became a digital marketing executive, and basically run their social media on a daily basis, learn how to keep websites up to date, marketing techniques, and then I grew in my photography for a bigger brand and a big following on social media, and learn how to use it in different ways to portray messages and stories. And then I moved into videography as well. I moved on to making short films, tutorial videos, promotional videos. I'm going to link a few in there as well. And I loved it. I had an 18-month contract there. Everyone who was there, I learned so much off. There was huge professionals in their field, in different areas, in different creatives. It was an art university, so it was a huge creative hub. So I got to work with students and industry professionals and people who had doctorates and were at the top of their game, and I loved it. I thrived off it. I was like a sponge. I just took all this information on. As all jobs, they come to an end. I did my 18 months contract. I loved every minute of it. We came to January 2020, and I was, at first I was like, well, this was just pre-COVID. Yeah, so there was a few things going on in the media, but it was like, okay, 2020, I finished my job now, what am I going to do? First thought, straight away, freelance. I was in a lucky position compared to what my father was when he decided to, try and go full time by himself. I didn't have any commitments, so I wasn't worried about, making sure the kids are fed or the mortgage is done or whatnot. So for me, it was more of a obvious choice to be like, right, why didn't I try freelance and see where I can go with this? I started doing freelance. I met a great couple called Mark and Louise, who helped me out massively, and I worked in their work here space in Hereford, so I'm going to link them down below as well. It gave me a great opportunity to work for them, make them content, photos, videos, whatever, and I would work out of their space. So it was kind of like a job for job type situation, and we supported each other. I had a great time working there. I really miss working there actually. And I was building my freelance, building my network, more people were getting to know me. I was starting to create contracts and jobs with people, and it was literally on the tipping point of becoming something I reckon I could have been doing right now. And then boom, COVID slapped me in the face. It wasn't fun. Obviously, like I said, I don't want to complain too much because there's some people who are in a worse off position than me massively. But I was back at square one again, because photography really took quite a big hit, because obviously you've got to be around people, and no one knew where we were going with this. And I was lost, I was confused, I was in a huge hole, probably one of the worst that I've ever felt. Everything had kind of started crumbling around me, and I just didn't know where I was heading. I had no creativity. I thought there was like no future in what I was doing. I was lost. I didn't even upload any content for ages, or even try and make content. The thought of doing anything like that was like, well, what's the point? I can't be bothered. Like, I was in a just bad space mentally, and it was like this for a good first month of COVID, and I think a lot of people had that exact same thought. Like I said, I'm not trying to say like, oh, look at me, I was so worse off, because there were so many people who were worse off than me, which I kind of want to highlight with this video. And we need to support each other massively, support local businesses, support everything that's around you. We need to like band together, really. Instead of being split apart, we need to be together and help each other. But then after the first month of COVID, I got a job at a local co-op. I also had a job in a factory. I was kind of back at square one, but it was great. It was refreshing. I don't know, it was just good to completely restart. And I wasn't really doing much content creating. It was a time where I could just kind of blank my head, go to a job, get it done, but there was ideas popping, there was things in my brain, the fuel was there again. I'm going to call this like the comeback because I had my family around me, which was just amazing, having them every day, even though I probably was pretty moody, pretty upset a lot of the time, and I did take it out now and again on them, and I will always apologise for that, but the love that they were giving me and the support that they were giving me was just amazing. And then I had my friends, you know, I hadn't seen them for so long because of COVID, but that's when the lockdown project started with Kieran, as you saw in previous videos. That just blew for me in terms of a creative opportunity. I kind of carried on doing photography, but then the filmmaking side of me started coming out, and the ideas, and I thought, at first I wasn't going to make these videos because I was nervous. I was like, why? No one's going to watch them, no one's going to like them, you know, what's the point? And then me and Kieran discussed it and was like, actually, it doesn't matter if people judge you for it because they're too scared to do it themselves. So let's just send it and let's see what happens. The first lockdown project came out. I got massive support from everyone in the local area, and it was amazing to see it. And I was so grateful, so happy. And then it grew, and we did more lockdown projects, and the council thanked me, and the local police thanked me, and my mates for doing what we did, and everyone loved the journey that we were on. So BMX really had brought me back, and the lockdown project had brought me back into a healthy mindset and a creative mindset. BMX has always been there for me as well, even though I haven't done it for a long time. Picking up that bike again was just the best feeling in the world. You know, having somewhere to, I always say this to people, having something or somewhere to go when you don't look at social media or don't think about having to work or create is amazing. So BMX and the skate park is that for me. I put my phone down, I put the camera down, I do not touch it, and I just ride, and it will just clear my head any day. And I found inspiration from, you know, people like Gary Vee and Peter McKinnon. The one biggest video that Peter's done is The Mountains Won't Remember Me, and I'm going to link that below because every time I watch that I get inspired and ready to create and want to create. So if anyone is feeling low at the moment, go watch Peter McKinnon, I'll link it below, and just go on Gary Vee's Instagram and you'll see that he's got so much content for you there to inspire you to do exactly what you want to do. Now, how does this relate to moving to university? So during all this time, even though I was having a great time making the lockdown project, making content, I still had the thought in my head, what am I going to do when everything kind of goes back to normal? It was going to be this is already a struggle for where I was from. I'm from a small little town in the country. It's very difficult to get photography work, you know, let alone like full-time photography work or even in freelance. It is very difficult. When I worked for a university, I was always jealous of the students who had amazing opportunities to work with companies and local people, and they were just offered so much that I wanted to be like, I wanted to grab some of the opportunities, but I couldn't because obviously I was working. So then I decided in COVID, I was like, well, that's what I want, I'm going to get that out of university. So I went back and looked at the universities that I wanted, the main one being Gloucestershire or Cheltenham, because I love the area, I love the university, and I found a course that just jumped out of my screen, which was digital media. And digital media basically entails photography, filmmaking, 360, web design, app design, VR, literally the whole digital world in one course. I just wanted to be back in with creatives, back in doing work and learning again, because I love learning, but there's only so much you can do online. Sometimes you have to be face to face with people to learn, to grow off them, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be in a group of creatives that were learning off each other, learning off experiences, and you know, working with companies, working with local organisations, and just becoming a creative again. And also taking, like I said at the start, taking what Taylography is, which is creativity, not just photography or wedding photography or filmmaking. Taylography is creative. George Taylor is creative, so I need to be doing a creative course. And it doesn't matter where I'm going to take it, whether I become a 360 filmmaker or whether I become an app designer or whatever, my creativity is going to be put into that, and that's what I wanted people to see.
I hope I've helped some people in this video. I've hoped you've kind of got a little bit of understanding about me and where I've come from, and hopefully it can stir some conversations in your own head and maybe your friendship groups or your family. And just to reiterate, it's okay to not know where you're going. And there's a little quote that my father always used to tell me: you can't join the dots looking forward, only when looking back. And I think that's such an amazing quote, is that when you look back at your life, you'll realise why you did it, which positions you went for, what direction you were going in. But you can't do that looking forward. You just have to pursue what you enjoy and what you love.